Welcome to Teamtalk, another episode brought to you from our studio here at CreativCarbon. A big thank you to them and to Thinkroom. Grindstone always brings us a few businesses to look at each week, and we see the promo videos. But I wanted to go dip into a portfolio interview again. We get a chance to chat to the leader of Pura Soda. Now, if you look at our portfolio, we've got innovation is something that we hold very dear. We've got businesses which we know can scale and grow throughout South Africa and internationally. Pura Soda might be one to the untrained eye that looks like a slightly more normal investment and not one that Knife Capital might go about. We think it's actually blown the industry apart because their innovation is in the healthy living, healthy lifestyle movement in consumer products. Pura Soda is led by a team of leaders who've been in the, whether it's AB InBev, Coca-Cola, Red Bull, the leading companies around the world. They've got together, they've launched it out of South Africa, and they've got some partners and partnerships which are working incredibly well. They launched this week in the UK, as you'll hear from their leader, Greig. But I think we've all got healthy life goals, and there's an easier way to set your life up for achievement, and that's little by little. What if there's a fun, simple way to live healthier and quench your thirst a little better? What they say is that's how you live a little purer. Have a look at some of their promo videos. Very fun. Pura just won 4 out of 6 entries gold in the Aurora International Taste Challenge. We're very, very proud of that achievement. It means they're setting an international standard for a South African business. Let's cross to my interview with their CEO and leader, Greig Jansen.
On board right now, there he is, Greig Jansen. You dressed up a little bit warmer than I am. I'm assuming that it's not COVID protective gear. It's just winter versus summer.
Absolutely, Bob. Geez, it's feels like -3 this morning. I had a very fresh ride up to the Nurtuk Peak. Beautiful view, nearly blew off the mountain, but certainly fresh. So I don't know if it's cold outside or I'm still recovering, but I'm in layers for sure.
Good man. Well, it's fantastic to be active, Greig, and you always have been. This interview, thank you so much for joining us on Teamtalk. We've gone through a number of the businesses in our portfolio. We've also done other entrepreneurs. We've done a little bit of a focus on people from Africa looking at the world. Now, you're certainly a person who's got perspective. Let's give the audience just a little bit of a background, literally, talking about your career, because as a sort of Southern African who's been in the drinks and beverage industry, you've also had international roles, and how's that affected you and sort of put you in a position to manage your own business as well?
Yeah, thanks, Bob. I mean, thanks for having me on your show, and thanks for allowing me to share our story. I think what's phenomenal about getting international exposure is it actually just opens your mind to understanding that there's a very real world out there. I would say that's the biggest switch of mindset from moving from a South African-based business to an international-based business. And then you can actually take it one step further when you enter emerging markets, Africa being some of your quintessential emerging markets where, you kind of cut your teeth walking on broken glass. And what I mean by that is, it's absolutely phenomenal experience. I mean, Africa really is a sink or swim, and I'll share with you a little bit about where I've come from to explain why I'm saying that. But certainly, anyone who's had the fortune to work in Africa and has succeeded certainly has built up a phenomenal resilience, and also has had the ability to probably squash 20 years of experience into 5 years, which bodes terrible for gray hair, or no hair in my case, but phenomenally well for business experience. And to your point about my journey, I'm Zambian by birth. I've grew up in South Africa, varsity in school in South Africa, and then I was very fortunate enough to went into Woolworths in the foods department, had overseas exposure there, moved into offshore trading, traded internationally, funny enough, tuna, frozen tuna, and tuna you can get anywhere around the world. And that was really starting to understand how big the world is compared to where we are in South Africa. Ran a couple of offshore offices, and then had a few big breaks, but the biggest break in the beverage business was heading up Coca-Cola in East Africa, based in Ethiopia. And all I can say is what a phenomenal brand, what a phenomenal company. I'm actually humbled to have had that experience, and through hard work and to be honest, Bob, building the right team, because no person can do it on their own.
That's right.
Managed to pick up a number of global awards, both internally and externally, and best practices, and shepherded investment, and fortunately enough was exposed to what was happening around the world in terms of consumer changes and marketing changes, and needs changes, and combined my passion with sport and healthier, better for you and beverage experience, and put myself where I am today. So that's very, very in a nutshell how I got here, Bob.
I love it. And Greig, I mean, our interactions have been around the concept of Pura, and I've shared with a couple of people on the show, and we will be sharing some of the promotional clips you guys have already done, etc. But in that role, you sort of hit on what you believe, what you guys believe, and we all believe. And to be honest, a few people look at our portfolio and say, well, yeah, but that's not a sort of a tech or innovation type of business. And I say, well, actually, the innovation here is that this team saw before the market where the market was going. And is that important, in terms of managing businesses? You spoke about working at Coca-Cola. Do you have to be on the cusp of the intersection, I suppose, of what the market is about to do and how you can react to that all the time, or can you plan ahead? How do you manage the combination of getting that innovation right?
No, good question, Bob. I think in order to be most successful, I'm not saying you can't be successful otherwise, but let's say most successful, you actually need to start with the consumer in mind. And where we've been fortunate is we've been able to track what the consumer is actually going to be wanting going forward.
Yeah.
And that's your point about where do we fit in? We are actually a disruptor. We operate in the beverage space. As we mentioned, I work for that phenomenal company that's got phenomenal, provenance. But it's been around for a long time. So if you look at consumers and you look at where the world is going, and to be honest, COVID has actually just highlighted this in a major way. But everyone wants to be a little bit healthier. Everyone's a little bit more aware of high sugars. They're more aware that they want something a little bit more natural. But they don't want something super healthy, because that generally doesn't taste great, and it's also very expensive. So, from all the research we did, we basically identified that people want to be a little bit healthier at an everyday price point because they can build it into their lives. And to your point, in order to really crack this, I think it's so critical that you look out and you see what's actually happening in the environment, and you try and forecast to see what you think is coming down the line. And to be honest, the grounds that are most fertile are those areas or those categories that have had a major player that have been dominant for an exceptionally long period of time. Corporates, by definition, are like slow oil tankers. They take a long time to turn. They're very comfortable. And you know, let's take in the case of Coca-Cola, they put a lot of money behind marketing, and they're really good at what they're doing. So a lot of people think there's no ways you can enter into that space. The great opportunity we found was that it's not going up against Coca-Cola. We actually are responding to consumer needs. So certainly in our space, it's around responding to a consumer need. And if you think of the likes of a Airbnb, if you think of an Uber, it's exactly the same thing. It's just we've responded to the need within the drink space.
Absolutely, and I've told the audience a little bit about Pura. We've got some packs here, and we've had a look at you know what the product looks like. Tell us more about where it's going. Tell us about your start in SA and some of the international expansion that we're seeing now. The people that you've brought on board to take the brand to other countries and try and get as much exposure as possible.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Bob. I mean, what we try to do, first of all, is we try to bring people in who've got experience. So, you know, we generally try only learn experiences or bad things 1.5 times, not twice. At the moment, it's sitting at about 1.75, but we're working down to about 1.
I've got to write that down. I like that. 1.5 times, not twice.
Yeah. So effectively, been very fortunate to get guys in who've had this, you know, this corporate experience, but they've done the hard yards. They've got that experience walking on the broken glass, and that really allows us to kind of put plans in place for our provenance market, which has been South Africa. South Africa has been about, you know, testing the market, testing our concepts, considering that the product has always been designed to go internationally. Now, Cape Town, as you know, is a phenomenal place to live. So why not base yourself here? It's cheaper in order to get concepts tested. We're now in all major retailers. We're in all major channels. We've got some great collaborations coming through. So really, South Africa has been the testing ground. We're on our third phase of our business. The first phase was around, you know, getting the brand out there, getting consumers to understand it, understanding if there was acceptance for it. Stage 2 was really around brand amplification, you know, getting it a little bit more into the public, as well as increasing our penetration in the market, literally getting it to more stores, getting it into more people's hands. And very fortunate, we've been successful with that, extremely successful. Over the last 18 months, the business has grown by more than 400%. And now we're actually in stage 3. And stage 3 is all about the globalization of this business. You know, the USA is a huge bet for us. We are currently exporting to 13 countries, and we'll be very, very shortly in the UK. I think next week our first containers go off to Ireland, and there's 1 or 2 other things coming through for the UK. So, you know, what we've actually looked at is, again, we've looked at the global market. It's worth $1.9 trillion. The biggest by far is the US. If you're going to be able to crack it, or you want to make a good business great, the US is the one that you need to get into. We're very fortunate. We've been in there for a few months now. Things are looking very, very positive. And you know, Bob, success leads success. You know, when you start in a business, you basically bring people on board, talking to teams that believe in your crazy ideas, you know. And
Absolutely.
you know, you might start with 1 or 2 people who are in your A team, and you might have a few B team players and a few C team that go up to B team. But as you start to make a believer of the ideas, and you know, the things that you plan on doing become a reality, you actually start to do 2 things. You start to attract more and more A team players, but you also see a phenomenal growth curve in those B and C team players up to be able to play for the A team. So we've been very, very fortunate that, you know, as we're growing now, we've won some great awards. We've got into some amazing retailers. We're getting the attention of the right people to take us to the next level. Yeah. But we've also internally been able to lift the skills of the people where we operate with. One other key thing for us, Bob, is just in this kind of third stage in our business, in order for a small business with us, with limited cash flows, to really amplify our brand and our performance, we can simply do this by finding the right strategic partners. which companies or which products or which collabs will really help us to amplify our route to market or amplify our brand presence. We're really exciting. We've just done a collab with Adidas as example. So we're going to the Adidas stores in South Africa. But we've partnered up from a product partnership with some major liquor brands. There's a major global liquor house that at this moment is a South African-based collab, but potentially is global. Burger King for us, is a global supply agreement. So, we've started off in SA, we've moved into the Middle East. So it's around how do we get these strategic partnerships that, allow us to kind of hang on the coattails of other people's cool creds, and obviously just get ourselves out there. So a lot of hard work, Bob, but we seem to be moving forward.
Fantastic. And you're right. It's those collaborative relationships are about being able to punch above your weight a little bit. This will go out to entrepreneurs, people who are going through some of the same sort of struggles as you are. How do you deal with the highs and lows of this business? You're going to be out there pitching and saying, geez, guys, everything hangs on this pitch and then it doesn't come off, or forgetting about the level of a pitch because you've got so much else on and then it comes through at the last minute. Those highs and lows, and we've seen it with COVID, this accelerant, which has made everybody suddenly realize how exposed you can be if the world as we know it stops. Let's talk about the day-to-day though. Is that just constantly management by walking around, patting people on the back, keeping going, or is there a structure to being an entrepreneur in this environment?
Yeah, I think we've all seen, the life cycle of an entrepreneur, and it's highs and lows, and that's only in the morning, and let alone what happens in the afternoon. So like
you're becoming very quotable, Greg. I'm writing a lot down here.
Yeah, look, you've got to start with belief in yourself, and there is, unfortunately, it's a quote, but it's so true. Is whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right, and it literally has to start with your mindset. And I think as the entrepreneur, you must imagine that you've got a lot of people in your organization or people who surround you that take the energy emphasis from you. No matter how you rock up is how other people will kind of garnish their deliverables for the day. So it's just so important that you believe in what you are going to achieve. Steve Jobs basically said, here's to the crazy people, because those people who think they can change the world generally are the people that do. So there's a lot of mindset involved. You actually have to have exact conviction that you can get to where you want to go. But here's the thing, you don't need to necessarily know exactly how you're going to do this, because there's many times where, we believe we're going to get into a retailer or we're going to export X amount, and we're not clear on how we're going to do it. We just know that we need to get there, and we want to get there. So yeah, it's a lot about belief, but you've got to impart that on your people, because again, no one can do this on their own. There definitely are ups and downs, as you say. I think it's very, very important as a startup, because the stress levels are so big on the business. And the thing is that, funny enough, you would think that success means that the business becomes less stressful. It's actually not. It's the other way around. The more successful you become, the greater the stress is placed on the business and on the individuals as you grow. So what we generally try to do is, we celebrate our wins, no matter how big or small. We generally try to have a lot of fun in our business. We've got a concept of, live a little Pura, and we really try embed that or embed that into our business. So, things like, every third Friday on a rotational basis, people are allowed to take off, because we believe that, we need 150% commitment in order to get to where we want to, but we need to make sure that the guys can recharge adequately so they can continue at this rate.
Yes.
So it's a small thing, but that is a major thing. So, it's, all of a sudden, guys got an extra 15 days, leave a year. So that's a major thing. But it's just constantly just reinforcing the positive belief out there. And, my advice to anyone out there is believe in your convictions. Have a good wine collection as well. That's another one. And also have some mates who it's funny, hey, your mates always think you're doing way better than you really are, and they're great for your ego. Especially in our likes, we saw we up far away, and we saw your product and we got some, and don't know how you're doing it, and you've done so well, brilliant. And meanwhile, you've got no idea how the product got to Pofara, but it boosts you to go.
The last six-pack was taken by a friend to Pofara.
Yeah, just mindset, Bob. It's just about being positive.
Greig, I love your position on that about your mates, feeding the ego and feeding the belief, and that's incredibly important. Tell me, as a standalone business view, what do you see out there? I mean, you've seen the retailers having to shut down, having to change the way they deal with their consumers, their customers, their suppliers, even, and COVID. Someone said to me the other day, used the example of this accelerant. I think it was the Economist that wrote a lovely article about the great accelerant. And the example for this guy is, he said, look, you're South African, aren't you? I said, I certainly am. Born in Zimbabwe, but South African passported, and love my outdoor cooking, because that I knew that's what we'd been speaking about it. He said, okay, so you love to braai? I said, yes. He said, okay, how good is petrol for heat? So I said, what do you mean? He said, no, you're making a braai. Petrol is good for heat. Am I right? I said, yeah, it's a good starter. And he said, yeah, but it's terrible for the sausages if that's all you're feeding your braai. He said, and I understand that in the context. He said, it's going to be amazing to expose some things, to make some things better, e-commerce, global logistics and supply chain, any sort of creaks in that environment are going to be shown quickly. But if this all happens too quickly, too fast, there are going to be bits that are going to break down, and it just gave me this perspective. It was like, you're right, those poor sausages in the middle of this braai, it's got hot quickly and it's been amazing, but it's not the ideal solution long term. Now, tell me, just sort of standing back, you've spoken about Woolies, you've spoken about other brands. What do you see in that marketplace? What are the other drinks guys suffering? What are they enjoying? How does this affect you and them and everybody?
Yeah, so I think if you are in a better for you space, I think COVID has been phenomenal in terms of being able to amplify your brand and amplify your sales.
And that's exactly where you guys are. I mean, the entire concept of live a little purer. You're not trying to be Puritan on the far side. You're just trying to be a little bit better, which is fantastic. It's the incremental improvement.
Absolutely. So if we look at South Africa and we look at, these are the stats that come out of Nielsen's. If we look at the stats that have been shown, beverage companies on average are between -10% to -30% down on last year. That's kind of where the beverage sector is playing. Retail in general, as you know, is down in South Africa. There's one or two guys that are actually up, which is great, and also certain categories that are up. Now, this is where it gets interesting, is globally, beverages are up in a major way. So, general, if you take kind of the top 10 markets, on average, probably beverages are up between 10 to 15%. So again, it just shows you that, people are taking things home, and that's being driven by the better for you space as well. So, again, it's around, are you able to provide something that the consumer actually needs? Now, to your point around the sausages, Bob, the route to market has actually changed in a major way. We've seen a ridiculous percentage increase in our online sales. They account for roughly 18% contribution to our business last month, whereas probably a year ago they were 3%. Now, it doesn't mean that the world is going to stay like that, but certainly you need to gear your business to be able to service that. And funny enough, what we're actually seeing in America is a huge revival, or a huge push to online, but also a revival in the bricks and mortar, because after a while you get tired of clicking, and then people want to go have an experience or have a little bit of an outing. So I think for any business that is wanting to do well during these times that are just totally unprecedented, I think it's very, very fundamental to understand what your brand stands for. We're very, very lucky. Our brand stands for Live a Little Pura. It's bang on kind of what the world is looking for and where global trends are driving. But those businesses that are unclear, literally what their brand stands for, are going to suffer. Now, in a totally different space, I met people who are actually producing linen, and just by coincidence, they are producing loungewear. So I wasn't clear what loungewear was, but they explained to me it's tracksuit pants and stuff like that. Now, that accounted for kind of 15% of their business, and obviously the linen was the major part. It's totally swung the other way because I don't know about you, but I've got my tracksuit pants on below the desk here.
Well, everyone's been lounging around. You're right.
So yeah, it's important to understand what your brand stands for and how you position it during these times, and even more so because I think consumers through COVID are very, very aware of products that they are eating or drinking or using, and they're also very aware of what they stand for. And we've seen a major push to consumers to wanting to support brands that actually do something good for the environment or have a purpose, as opposed to just being purely commercially driven. So yeah,
amazing. So I mean, the market is it's doing different things all the time, and it's this adaptability quotient that we see being mentioned all the time, and time for the entrepreneurs to adapt. Listen, Greig, I'm watching the time, and I'll be off almost immediately. I really appreciate it. I know you're super busy and there's loads going on, so we're very thankful for that. I just wanted to say one last message from you to the entrepreneurs. You've already mentioned the stickability and the belief in yourself. In this time right now, we think that the young African entrepreneur, the person who sees the world with the big eye that you were speaking about, who understands the size of the world out there, are the people who are going to put time, effort, and eventually money, and therefore the economic benefits back into our economy after this little glitch in the matrix, bump in the road, whack on the head, fall off the stairs, whatever you want to call the COVID environment. A quick message to them from you would go a long, long way.
Yeah, thanks, Bob. I think certainly my message is take this opportunity to grow your networks, but grow your networks in a way that has actually become amazing relationships, because the whole world works around relationships and networking and connecting. And I think that is such a powerful, successful way to grow a business. The second thing I'd really emphasize is mindset. And I know I've mentioned it a lot, but I cannot emphasize enough to believe in yourself. The third thing actually brings it all together is surround yourself with people who will support you. They always say behind every successful man is an extremely strong woman. I really, really believe that. But also surround yourself with strong friends that, when days are dark, it's not friends are few. It's your mates come around, give you a beer, and really support you. And then, last but not least, there are a lot of people looking to give money a home for ideas that are really great. So be courageous, put yourself out there, and you will be rewarded for sticking your neck out if you have a great idea.
Greig, it's a fantastic message, and I really appreciate it. I know you guys are hustling and chasing your tail all the time, so even just a little half an hour out of your day is extremely valuable to us and to everybody else. It's really appreciated. We'll see you. The show will be coming out, and if I know anything about Pura, I know that you guys market the hell out of absolutely everything. So please share it far and wide, and we look forward to doing more with you in the near future. Thanks, my friend.
Thanks, Bob. Have a great day.
Okay, top man.
Cheers.
You too.
Well, you can absolutely feel the passion for the brand and expanding that business there from Greig. He's a great guy, a fantastic leader of a business, and the culture of getting things done literally drips through that organization. We absolutely love working with them, and I know that they're going to go on from strength to strength. I want to give a quick shout out to some of their partners, Oakley and New Balance, Petco, Laureus, KZN Trail Running, and all the others, because they're a big part of what makes Pura Soda infuse themselves into the communities and grow with them. Don't forget, on this show, it's like, follow, enjoy, share, comment, and tell us what you think about what we're doing. We've got Grindstone businesses coming up, and we've always asked them to promote themselves. So you can hear from the leaders of Mint AI, Peter and Craig, and from the leader of Infobyte, Ati, where their business is going and what the future looks like.
How's it, everyone? My name is Ati Makwebu. I am the founder and CEO at Infobyte Technologies. We specialize in software development, data management, cloud computing, and some tinkering with AI. This journey started in 2014, and over the years, the company has gone through a couple of changes, from consultancy in the banking and insurance sector, getting some projects in the fintech space, a lot of failures along the way. But my passion for technology stems way back in primary school, joining the computer societies, and then in high school being the computer club leader, and then at varsity representing WITS at the National Microsoft Imagine Cup. So this is more of a passion that has evolved into running a company of my own, and I surely do look forward to meeting you guys and exciting times ahead.
This is Peter Reed. I run a business called Mint Intelligent Insights. We were founded about 3 years ago, and our vision is to take artificial intelligence technology and apply it to really difficult problems to improve people's lives. We're techies at heart. We love the tech, but we also love seeing somebody use a system and it improves the way they go about their business. So we've created a computer vision platform, and on top of this, we build solutions, for example, that run in public clinics. They shorten the queues, they give you better access to your doctors, better access to your diagnostic processes, etc. We have solutions run in universities. They make students safer on campus, give them better access to their course materials, direct links to their tutors, and we're very excited to be part of the Grindstone program.
Great businesses, great future, great leaders in them as well. They're in the Grindstone program, and Knife Capital does on a monthly basis with Thinkroom manage that platform of getting the information about how to grow, how to expand the business in a sustainable, managed way. We look forward to some results from those businesses going forward. It's the end of the show. Much appreciated to everybody who put it together, again, to CreativCarbon. I think what we do each week is try and get a nice summary, nice snapshot of what's happening in our world and where the investors are. But we need you to like, to comment, and to give us some advice on what you'd like to see as well. So please do that. And here's a cheat sheet for everybody who is involved in this week's show. Use that to make sure the communication gets back to us, and we'll see you next week.